What's up guys, Blade Master here, back with some more Total War Rome 2 online action. This is an excellent battle. This is just one of the best battles that I've played in recent memory. Probably just call this Amazing Battle Part 4 or something, because it's definitely worthy of the title. I've taken Odrysian Kingdom in this matchup, and my opponent, Soulless Gamer JKGR, has taken Suebi. We're going to be fighting in the map of Pella. It's just a quick battle that I was playing in, and I decided to take Odrysian Kingdom. And what's weird is I've decided to take an all-cav Odrysian Kingdom army with only like some foot skirmishers to back them up, and like one Thracian warrior and one mercenary Dacian spears. So basically, I've become Prussian Prince. I've just Prussian Prince this Odrysian Kingdom army. I've taken 4 Thracian cavalry. I'm going to move up really close in front of them. I've brought a total of 4 Thracian bowmen, 2 on my left flank, 2 on my right flank, and 1 Thracian slinger. I've also brought a total of 3 Thracian horsemen, a total of 5 Thracian Royal Cavalry, 1 Thracian Warrior, and 1 Mercenary Dacian Spears. My opponent, on the other hand, has brought he's gone pretty cav heavy himself. He's brought a total of 2 Germanic Scout Riders, and he's brought 2 Noble Riders as well. He's brought a total of 3 Sword Masters, including a Sword Master General, a couple of Bloodsworn, or 3 Bloodsworn, 2 Berserkers, and 4 Germanic Slingers, and of course a couple of Spear Levy as well. So he's chasing me off with his Germanic Scout Riders. The reason I brought this build was just because I didn't really want to play with the usual Odrysian Kingdom army. They'd probably get slaughtered by an Arya Vistas General in any case. It's going to be, that itself could be a fun matchup, Glass Cannon versus Glass Cannon. But over here, coming back to the action, his Germanic Scout Riders actually got a pretty decent charge onto my Thracian cavalry, and these guys are actually losing quite quickly. They have pretty similar stats, although in terms of melee, I would give my Thracian cavalry a bit of an advantage. Of course, his Germanic Scout Riders have a pretty big charge bonus advantage. Yeah, but besides that, they have very similar stats: 75 health and 70 health for Germanic Scout Riders, but they have a bit higher morale. Meanwhile, I'm just moving around with my other Thracian cavalry, just inducing him to attack with some more of his Germanic Scout Riders. In terms of the advantage, obviously I have a pretty big disadvantage, but if I had shock cavalry, I would say I had a pretty big advantage, because this is on top of being Suebi, which is not a very good faction against cavalry in general. He hasn't brought any Woden spears or any of those pretty dangerous anti-cav spear units that Suebi can potentially bring. Over here, he's chasing after me with his Noble Riders. Meanwhile, I've caught, I think, one of his his Germanic Scout Riders caught my other Thracian cavalry and just killed it off. So right now I only have 3 Thracian cavalry left. He's moving uphill with his Germanic Scout Riders, and that's exactly what I want him to do. So I'm going to move back. I'm going to keep my hill advantage over here. It's not a dick move, I think, because it's not like I kept my entire army and I was camping over there. It's literally like, less than half my army is camped over there. But the only difference is I have so much maneuverability with this army that I can just keep kiting back if he decides to pursue the mainline engagement. And I'm going to try and get him to climb up this hill, but he seems to be doing that by himself, which is thanks, man. And he's getting his Germanic Scout Riders slaughtered in the process. They were chasing after my Thracian cavalry. They're getting really close. They're actually going to be able to, they're in closing distance of my Thracian slingers. Here his Noble Riders are getting really close for comfort. So I'm going to charge in, get a downhill charge with my Thracian Royal Cavalry. Thracian Royal Cavalry are one of the best barbarian troops and very easily beat Noble Riders because they have 15 bonus versus cavalry. On top of having the Noble Riders have a better charge bonus than these guys, and even better melee defense. But Thracian Royal Cavalry have 90 armor, which is brilliant. The rest of the faction have absolutely dog shit armor, but these units just have amazing armor. Health and base morale is the same, so in that sense, Thracian Royal Cavalry have a huge advantage over Noble Riders, on top of being able to fight javelins before they charge in. And these guys are going to get an uphill charge, but onto the rears of those Noble Riders, and they're going to start wavering and get shattered. My Thracian cavalry killed off his Germanic Scout Riders while they were killing off some of my Thracian slingers. He's trying to move uphill with the rest of his army, and that's not going to be very good for me. Of course, I don't have really anything to stop him. I could get a downhill charge over here, but it's not like it's really going to do too much because he's just got so many troops here, and I don't want to engage with my Thracian Royal Cav onto his infantry. I'd rather just start getting as many shots as possible onto his units over here. Remember, these Bloodsworn can actually be pretty useful units if he decides to use his Arya Vistas abilities. So I'm going to move around, and I'm going to try and catch some of his units while he's trying to reposition with his men. My Thracian cavalry came back from routing and actually caught some of these Germanic slingers. He's moving around with one of his berserkers to catch them. Meanwhile, he has one noble riders and one spear levy over here that basically caught and killed off my the third. Thracian cavalry. I only have one Thracian cavalry left basically now, but yeah, I didn't really utilize them very well. This army is almost impossible to micro correctly, but here it just depends on which engagements you decide to micro well. I'm going to charge into his noble riders here in the woods with my Thracian royal cavalry. That means my my cavalry just don't have a great charge bonus, or sorry, they don't have a the full extent of their charge really isn't going to be maximized. But I charged into him. It looks like I mean, I would probably win this engagement sooner rather than later, I would say. But he's got that spear levy over there that can be quite the piece of shit to and would probably just scupper all my plans. But here I'm running around with some of my Thracian cavalry. One of them has lost around 9 men, but that's the one that killed off his noble riders. He's lost a lot of cavalry at this point, so he's going to have to chase after my Thracian bowmen on foot. And but as for the rest of the battle, it's definitely going in his favor. His noble riders have caught some of my Thracian bowmen as well, so they are going to be shaken. And this Thracian royal cavalry doesn't have any place to move, and he's going to come in with his spear levy with 25 bonus versus large. They'll actually do pretty well. The Thracian horsemen have just issued an attack order so that they can kill them off. And I'm going to pull away with my Thracian royal cavalry in the meanwhile. And I'm going to turn around with some of my units and try and attack him in the rear. Here, my Thracian royal cavalry charged into his spear levy, and I thought that they would have. When I saw them wavering, I just thought that okay, if I leave them in that engagement, they're not going to do anything. Here, I charged into his berserkers with my Thracian royal cavalry, and that's exactly where they would excel, just destroying those berserkers with sheer brute force. Here, I'm charging into his sword masters just so that I can bog them down, while my Thracian cavalry charge into his Germanic slingers and kill off that pretty big threat. Here, you can see my Thracian royal cavalry is starting to get slaughtered here because of his spear levy. They're getting a ton of kills now. Meanwhile, his sword masters have come in and got a downhill charge on my Thracian warriors. And here his Bloodsworn are going to try and charge into my Thracian Royal Cavalry General. My General is running away, but they've already taken a ton of casualties. Here my Thracian Royal Cavalry have been caught by his Spear Levy, and my Thracian Horseman, after killing off that Noble Riders, just doesn't have any place to go. So I've killed off a lot of his Germanic slingers, which is a good thing, but besides that, this is really infuriating. His Spear Levy actually managed to get a ton of kills on my really precious Thracian Royal Cav, and I charged in with my General onto the rear of his General, just trying to whittle down his HP. But here he's going to, I believe he's going to pop, he's just popped Raise Ban. He doesn't have the Arya Vistas General, which is huge. But in this case, I mean, it's not really like an Arya Vistas fast charge is really going to matter. Actually, if he brought Arya Vistas, he might have just been provoked into getting an unnecessary charge and just trying to engage too soon, and I would just be able to pull back. So in that sense, it's kind of useful that he brought something else. Maybe a strategic general would have been better though. But here, my general is starting to get slaughtered here. Only 14 units left. But I've got some really good rear charges and front charges with my Thracian Royal Cav onto his Berserkers and onto his Swordmasters. You can see they're starting to drop very quickly. And that's that really good charge bonus coming into play. That 43 charge bonus mixed with that 49 melee attack is quite good. Killing off some of his Germanic slingers, 182 kills with one of my Thracian cavalry, just killing off all of his slingers as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, my Dacian Spears is just holding off his Swordmasters, while my Thracian Bowmen try to kill some of his units. His Berserkers are at full strength, and that's these Thracian Bowmen have to try and kill them very quickly. Meanwhile, his Bloodsworn over here getting 53 kills, not bad, killing off a lot of my Thracian horsemen. My Thracian Royal Cav are going to attack them in the rear though, which is going to be pretty good. Of course, these are medium melee infantry, so they'll start dying very quickly on the charge. His Berserkers are dead. That's huge. I've managed to charge into his Berserkers again and just kill them off. Now, I've got a lot of Thracian Royal Cavalry left, but they're all very tired. But I'm going to pull away from that engagement, just charge in and pull away. He's killed off a lot more of my Thracian cavalry as well. But I'm going to come in for another charge with my Thracian Royal Cav. General died also, that's huge. But I got another charge onto some of his Spear Levy, his Bloodsworn, that General blob there. Charged into this Bloodsworn over here with my Thracian Royal Cav. They have 38 units left, which is pretty big. And once they kill them off, I should try and get a charge onto those Spear Levy as well. Such pesky Spear Levies, oh my god. So meanwhile, his Berserkers are chasing after my Thracian Bowmen. They're pretty exhausted right now. Meanwhile, my Thracian Bowman can just easily outrun them in any case. His Swordmaster General has got 122 kills, but they have only 78 units left. So I'm going to come in for another charge here. I was just pulling back so that I could get a nice terrain advantage with my Thracian Cav. With my Thracian Royal Cav, and they're going to charge into these pretty devastated already. These Bloodsworn, oh my god, they got slaughtered. Man, they got attacked in the rear as well. And I charged into his Swordmasters. They were at 68 men or something like that. Now they're at 61. I've killed off his Germanic Slingers by pulling through his Spear Levy over there, and I'm going to pull through his Swordmasters after I knock them down, and then charge into the rear of these Spear Levy. We've also got 80 kills. And now that morale is just never going to hold up. He's going to chase after my Thracian Bowmen with his Berserkers here. They're at half strength now from being at full strength, just getting slaughtered by those arrows, slowly but steadily. His general, he's popped Headhunt on his general now. But my Thracian cavalry are starting to get a lot of kills. That HP has been depleted, and just each charge is going to matter a lot more now. I've only got 26 units left, but they're also racking up the kills pretty quickly. I'm running away from his Spear Levy. They're just the biggest nightmares for me in this game. I charged into them multiple times, but still it just wasn't enough. But I'm going to rear charge into his general over here. He's popped Raise Banner and Headhunt, so they're just going to be basically unbreakable. But now Headhunt has worn off. He's popped Shield Wall way too late, so that means, anyways, that's not going to protect them from a rear charge. Only 23 units left, and they've shattered. So that's a massive turn of the battle in my favor. But see, you can see the balance of power is still not in my favor. I countercharged those Spear Levy, just trying to break them off. The general recently died penalty is also going to apply to them, so they're going to shatter. Now he's only left with 2 Swordmasters. He's got 1 Swordmaster at 91 units, 1 Swordmaster at 69 units. Meanwhile, I've got 1 Thracian Royal Cav at 15, 1 at 21, 1 Thracian Horseman at 27, Thracian Cav at 22, and a Thracian Royal Cav at 25. So, in terms of sheer numbers, he's got the advantage over me, but I just need to get some rear charges and just try and target one of his units at the same time. It could go in his favor, but I think it's looking more and more in my favor at this point, because I can just target some of his units with that increased maneuverability that I have. I'm going to bog down one of his Swordmasters here. He's popped Shield Wall on top of Headhunt, so I'm going to be forced to pull back. He hasn't popped Shield Wall anyways, so he's going to just chase after my units. Meanwhile, my Thracian Horsemen are going to get a very nice flank/rear charge here. It's going to pop Shield Wall a bit too late, I think, but they haven't taken many casualties from that. He's going to chase after my Thracian Bowman over here. Or sorry, was it my Thracian Royal Cav? Yeah, he's going to chase after my Thracian Royal Cav. I'm going to charge in with 2 of my Thracian Cav at the same time. Attack these guys. He's popped Shield Wall a bit too late again, so they've just crashed into them, and they were at 90 something men, and now they're at like 40-36. That charge is just so deadly for these units, and these guys are with triple chevron, so that's a 56 melee attack that they have. So charging in, cycle charging, pulling away, and that unit has shattered and routed. And now this Swordmaster General, or sorry, this Swordmaster unit is shaken because of army losses. I'm going to feint a charge there, and I'm going to try and get a rear charge on these guys. They're starting to waver now. It's actually gone in my favor, you guys. Costly victory, a victory that I'm like really proud of. Despite not doing the best in terms of micro, I somehow managed to pull it off. I caught his Germanic Slingers and killed them off very quickly. These Slingers could have actually been a huge pain in the ass if he managed to protect them well. You could see the devastation his Spear Levy did though. 81 kills and 56 kills on mostly cavalry. So I don't know how they did it, but they just managed to do it. Meanwhile, his Berserkers got 18 kills and 6 kills and just got slaughtered because I just kept countercharging them. That's the thing. I was just focused on killing off, like, on paper, his most highly valued units. But I, like, basically forgot about the units that could actually make a huge difference if I didn't pay attention to them. The Spear Levy could have just... I mean, I charged into them and they still didn't rout, which is strange. But if I got a proper charge, I'm sure I would have been able to knock enough of them over that they would have just routed immediately. My general got slaughtered here, 54 kills, and died. But you can see the rest of my Thracian Royal Cav, triple chevron on one, double chevron on the rest, and, you know, a single experience chevron on one last. Some of my Thracian Horsemen actually did pretty well for their cost. I mean, these are not mid-tier units, they're pretty low. They're on the high end of low-tier units, so they're just about okay. But considering all that, they got a fair amount of kills. My Thracian Bowmen didn't really do too much, but, you know, I had 2 of them remaining at the end of the battle, and that's a pretty big thing in my favor. Thracian Warriors didn't do much. Mercenary Dacian Spears actually did a pretty decent job holding off one of his Swordmasters for quite a while. And of course my Thracian Slingers didn't do too much. That's the beauty of this build. I mean, it is very, very micro intense, but you will almost definitely catch your opponent by surprise. And when he's bringing a pretty one trick pony faction like Suebi, and when he's going up against Odrysian Kingdom, all he's going to do is bring like some slingers. He probably should have brought some Kimri Bowman, but he's going to bring a lot of skirmishers, and he's going to bring some berserkers and some cheap throwaway units to try and blunt my initial charge with my Thracian warriors and my Thracian nobles. But that's the beauty of this this build. You just completely turn the faction around its head. It's obviously not a very efficient build, but it's something that you can catch your opponent by surprise, and it's very fun to play on quick battle. And if you win against your opponent, you get this huge sense of satisfaction because you thoroughly outplayed him. You brought a surprising, you outplayed him in the faction picking screen. You outplayed him clearly on the micro, because even if if you brought this build, there's no chance in hell. I mean, it's almost guaranteed that you wouldn't win, because at the end of the day, melee cavalry is just not a very good unit to bring in this game. But against a pretty one-trick pony like Suebi, it can actually do pretty well. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. Peace.